Hello, Raha.
Hello, Leo. How's it going, my friend?
I'm good, and you? Actually,
We,
I'm a bit sad today because my shirt's barely showing. My lowcodera shirt is not even appearing.
right. Well, that's the difference between where we are. You've got to be in the UK. You see, this is where the sun's at. It's 29 where I am today, and getting
Wow,
warmer still. So we've stolen all your sun from Brazil.
wow, 29 sounds good for me as a Brazilian.
Yeah, it's pretty hot. You don't want to be here. We complain in Britain when it's too cold. When it's too hot, we complain it's too hot. So we don't win. Right,
Okay.
so we've made it to episode 6, the final one of this initial series where we
Mhm.
complete our first app that we've been building together, right? Excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Today is a very interesting component we're going to showcase.
Amazing. Right, so we've not got too much ground to cover because we've done most of the hard work in the earlier
Mhm.
episodes. So should we bring up the demo app which we've been building over the last few weeks, step by step, with all of our
Mhm.
fine tutelage?
Yeah.
Let's uh, let's have a look at it. So we've been focused on building this task management app. This dashboard is something which we're going to be completing today, right? So maybe we'll come
Mhm.
back to this page. Let's show
Mhm.
our viewers how we built a Kanban view, an interactive Kanban view in one of the earlier episodes. This allowed them to plot their tasks sequentially and do things like drag and drop between the different stages that they have for these tasks. So really nice way to interact with the tasks. We also had an episode where we talked about how to work and manage tasks in bulk with our power grid component. And this really showcased how to filter the tasks, search for tasks, and be able to bulk edit them. We also demonstrated how we could use things like conditional formatting to bring the tabular data to life. And one of our other episodes focused on plotting this same data in a nice roadmap. I don't know if you've got that at hand. Yes, here it is. And again, just like the other views, all interactive with lots of filtering options to work with the data as you see fit. And we're trying to finish off this app today with a dashboard, which we started working on last week. And I think we pretty much built 70% of it last
Mhm.
week. This is what the final product should look like. I think the
Mhm.
focus for today is going to be on the heat map in the bottom corner. And if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken, Leo, the final thing which we want to do in the app is make sure we've got consistent navigation throughout all the different screens. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. Right. Well, let's get cracking with today's session then, and I'll hand over to you.
All right. I think a nice way for starting this session today is talking about what is the heat map for those who are not familiarized with it. Basically, we're plotting two dimensions here. One is progress, so we have not started, in progress, completed, blocked, and another one is the priority. So we are assessing the tasks by using these two dimensions. And in the heat map, we can see how many tasks we have combining these two dimensions. So I can see that uh, high priority tasks that are in progress, I have the count of three tasks, right? And what is interesting is this chart brings us a lot of information. So for this case, of course, we want to see a lot of high priority tasks in progress and low priority tasks we would like to see less. So this is some rich information that the chart shows to us.
Yes. So I think I made the comment previously that
Mhm.
this kind of looks right because um, it seems like we're working on the mostly the higher priority tasks at the moment, um, and That's what you'd expect if you were
Mm-hmm.
doing this in a rational way, of course. Makes sense.
Yeah, and one more thing, the darker the color, yeah, the higher number of tasks that we have in that combination, and the opposite also is true. So for these fields that are blank, we don't even have any tasks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this our intro. Now that we are familiarized with heat map, I think we can start building it. So I'm going to get our app that we built last week, and let's continue from here. All right, the first thing is, of course, add a heat map here. I already have it in my app, but in case you don't have, you would have to import this component for your app. And here, how you can find, just get more components, go for the code tab, and it's going to be there. All right, so let's introduce this heat map to our page. And here, let's get a nice size of it. All right. So the next step is to fill this with data. And last week we understood how the data should be structured for this bar chart. And the logic is going to be actually really similar. Okay. So for making this point, let's remember what we did. We have this kind of structure in which we have name and data. I think a better way of seeing it is maybe getting from a collection. I'm not sure if I have one for showing.
You
Okay, we
might
did
have
directly in the
not.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
collection. Okay,
Yeah. I'm not
but
sure. You might be able to highlight all of that to transpose it at the bottom of the formula. If you highlight that whole formula, it might show up. So if you highlight all of the
oh
power
yeah,
effects
yeah,
there,
yeah. Good point. Yeah,
there you go. Although, yeah, you haven't got that second level to drill down onto the data because that's an
yeah,
object.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still a better view. Yeah, for more friendly. So
Yeah.
this is how the tabular data is organized. We have a column called data and another column called name. And here we have this priority series. In this chart, we have only this this data series that is priority. But for the heat map, we're going to have more uh, series, right? But just to make a point, if we copy this and go for the heat map, let's see what happens when we paste the same thing, right? So this is the result. I can see that we have something because the heat map understand this structure, data structure that we just pasted. So basically what we're going to do is to adapt this and for what we are building, right, Rahan?
Yes. So in this case, what you've plotted at the moment is only
Mm-hmm.
for one status, which is only showing for one priority. And I guess we
Mm-hmm.
need to have the different priorities
Mm-hmm.
plotted, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
the progress. Sorry, we've because in our data source, if we go to perhaps
Mm-hmm.
SharePoint, we've got tasks which have a different progress status. So you've got
Yeah, yeah.
not started is what
Mm-hmm.
you're showing there, and I think we want to show them by all the dimensions of blocked, completed, in progress, and then heat
Mm-hmm.
map based on the amount of tasks against
Mm-hmm.
those, but plot that actually by
Mm-hmm.
priority, right? So it's progress versus priority,
It's
and that's
progress
how we
versus
get
priority.
and
Yeah.
that's how we get our multi-dimensional heat map.
Yeah. So we can see that in this y-axis we have the progress, and we're starting with not started. So let's make a few changes to make it get get shape. So here I would have the not started, right? And
Mm-hmm.
after it, I have another property called color, in which I can define the color of the heat map. So I'm going to use this purple that we are using for all of the others. And here's where the magic begins to happen, because we are counting uh, the the tasks by these dimensions. So at this point, I can see that we are filtering and by low priority here, but we also want to filter the progress of these tasks. So I want to have another thing here, progress not started, right? And I can
Okay.
repeat this for the rest of the formula.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you have some
Yeah.
error there, or okay, we've got
No. Yeah.
not
So.
so critical. We've got
Mhm.
some tasks which have come up, which have
Yeah.
not started. 5.
We have 5 critical tasks which are not started. So if we go for our SharePoint list and filter by not started, we are going to see that actually we have those tasks, those 5
You've been
tasks.
a naughty boy. You've not started any of the critical tasks.
Yeah, yeah. I'm concerned
Yeah.
about it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And those which are blank, of course, we don't have any of the any tasks here. That's why we're not seeing any color.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all we need to do now is just to repeat the same logic to add more data in the heat map. So
So right
if I
now we've only got one series for plotting not
Mhm,
started, and I'm assuming you
mhm.
just need to repeat for each status that we have.
Yeah, that's right. And all we need to do now is to change the way it's being filtered, right? Because here now we would have in progress. So if
Uh-huh.
I go for the second record, I can call it in progress. And all I need to do is to change formula here for in progress instead of not started.
Yeah. I don't know if you need a capital P on in progress. No, it looks like you're
No,
okay.
no.
That's what SharePoint's
Yeah.
got. Okay.
Yeah, so we can see now that we have data being plotted and colors in it, which interesting. We already can see uh, some information.
All right. Does look like you are doing some work then on some of these tasks.
Yeah, yeah,
We wait for the full picture to emerge.
yeah. All right. So instead of going on and repeating the same thing again, I'm going to the docs. And if you are following us during the sessions, you can find all of the snippets, all of the information you need to build yourself, right? So I have the full code here. I'm going just to copy and paste, so we don't need to repeat the same thing over and over. Right. So we can see here that all of the dimensions are now plotted. And in case you might be asking yourself why this chart is different from this one, remember that we have two different data sources. Yeah, this one we built just for the series, and in each episode we did one another change in the data source. So that's the reason why it's different.
Okay, so we have now
Okay.
our completed heat map, but
Mm-hmm.
for the advanced viewers amongst us, it looks like quite a lot of power effects which you were using there, and a lot of it
Mm-hmm.
seemed quite repetitive. So I'm just wondering if there's a way in which you could simplify the code and be a bit
Yeah.
smarter and use less lines of code if there was a technique. Because if you just go back to your Power Effects again,
Hmm.
let's take a look at it. So it's a very
Yeah.
similar structure, 4 times over, one for each
Hmm.
axes. So I'm just wondering if we can
Hmm.
reduce that amount of Power Effects if there was a way of doing that.
Yeah, that is a good point. And actually, what we're doing here is considering that everything is going to be static. So if let's suppose we had another status being added, or just another data in these dimensions, we would have to change the code. This update wouldn't happen automatically. So that's a good point that you made, Rehan. And uh, let's show how we can achieve this in a second. But before that, I just want to go through the chart and uh, check what it's telling us. So here we have
Mm.
critical tasks, a lot of critical tasks that are not started, right? We can see that this rectangle here is darker than the others,
Yeah.
and this is how we get information from the chart, right? Okay, now
Yeah.
let's
So it's all there.
yeah, let's answer your question now. And uh, the first time that I built this power effects for getting the data into the heat map, I use it in a dynamic way. So let's see how it is happening, right? So let's focus in 2 bits of the power effects. The first thing I'm doing here is to getting the status. So status, the progress, sorry, the
Yes.
progress. And in this bit of the power effects, I'm getting color information. Also, I'm getting uh, by using this switch statement a logical order for this. So I'm telling that not started is the first, in progress is second, completed is the third, and blocked is the fourth, because I want to to be shown in the heat map in this order. So this is the first step.
Yeah. Okay, so the first collection there is essentially just returning a list of the different progress
Mm-hmm.
statuses that we have, which
Yeah.
are being read from the data source, and we're
Mm-hmm.
controlling the order of that because, of course, the order is not inferred from our data source in any way. It doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
not started is the first thing we want to show on the heat map. So
Mm-hmm.
we need a way of logically ordering these because it wouldn't make sense to have them in a random order when you're looking at it. So I get
Mm-hmm.
that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I can see the collection.
Yeah, and just one observation. I think in a more complex r- real scenario, we would have this as a table, right? This information would be stored in a table in our data source, and maybe we wouldn't have to do this step.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all depends.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to, often solutions aren't relational. Often
Mm-hmm.
single SharePoint list, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this is what where Power Effects comes to the rescue, right? Because we can do
Yeah.
these
Mm-hmm.
bits of manipulation um,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
in the Power App using low code
Mm-hmm.
without necessarily then having to have a more complex back end to do it all.
Yeah.
But you're right. There are
Mm-hmm.
scenarios where you would have this split out in separate lists, or if it was Dataverse, separate tables.
Yeah, yeah. Just making this point because someone at the audience might be wondering why are you doing that if you could have it in a list or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, we are working with a single SharePoint list. That's why. Okay, so the next step here, now that we have the progress, the order, and the color, we're making a loop by using this for all statement and collecting the data structure that we need. So remember when we first show the data structure that we are using, uh, we are building this same data structure. So we are looping for each of the, let's go back, for each of the priorities and getting the information that we need that was stored previously. I'm not sure if it's clear because it's a kind of confusing the first time you see it. What do you think,
Yeah,
Graham?
so look, it's all you're doing is creating 4 series, which is what we had
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, we obviously had 4 data points within each series as well, one for low, medium, high, and
Mm-hmm.
critical.
Mm-hmm.
So from probably 4 times the amount of code, or lines rather,
Mm-hmm.
we've reduced it by just putting it all in a loop. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it
Yeah.
makes sense. At the end of the day, all you're doing is ending up with the label and values for what they need to
Mm-hmm.
be, and the
Mm-hmm.
for all is repeating it will
Mm-hmm.
will ultimately yield the same logical output that you had with the other power effects. So the end result is the same, but you got there with cleaner code.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good to point also that we could make this 100% dynamic, so we could rely in the changes made in our data source. And I'm just hard coding this bit, but my point is, of course, we could make this dynamic again, this straight from our data source, so we wouldn't have to change anything in case our data source have any significant changes.
All good, right? So
Okay.
heat map ticked
Heat
off.
map.
It's
Yeah.
looking like a complete page now. So
Yeah.
all
Let's
corners
get
covered.
let's get the final touch for the heat map, so we can add this panel behind it. I'm just copying and paste
Yeah.
from the other chart, so we can wrap it, send to the back, and
So we've got that
this.
nice bit of elevation now on there to make it pop a bit off the screen,
Yeah.
which we like.
And let's call this heat map. All right, I think we're good with the heat map, and now we can finally go for the navbar. And the first time that we built this navbar, we did it in a simple manner, right? We did just for showing that what what we were going, how we were going to do the navigation. And today we're going to introduce a new concept, which is having a drop down in the navbar. So if you notice here, we have these items, but I don't have anything under none of the items. So this is
So you're
what
gonna
we are going.
have a sub menu, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So there's 2 things
Mm-hmm.
by my reckoning we've got left. One is implementing the sub menu, and the second
Mm-hmm.
thing is to make the navigation functional by implementing the navigation logic. And
Yeah,
only then can we get to the finish line, right?
yeah. It's
Okay.
important that the navbar works, right? Okay. So I'm going to get into our documentation, and here in this image you can see uh, what is the submenu or the drop down, if you want to call it. And here's the structure that we are using. We have two different types of items. We have one for actions and another one for drop down, and this is what we are introducing right now. So just recapping this from the first episode, this is the structure of each item that we can see in the nav bar, right? So you can choose either you are going for this simple item that's is going to return the action, or if you want a drop down. In case you want a drop down, you have to add in this property drop down the action items. Is
Yeah.
that right,
So
Rohan?
that's yeah. So in simple terms, if you want a submenu, then you need to define the submenu items
Mm-hmm.
inside of that. So it's a fairly simple
Mm-hmm.
JSON structure that you've got there to do it. Okay.
Yes.
But maybe you're going to copy and paste it in.
I'm
This is
going to
what.
copy and paste if you allow me.
Yes,
So,
yes. I
all
think
right.
this is why we've got lowcodera live documented
Mm-hmm.
on here. I think
Mm-hmm.
people can quickly copy the code snippets.
All right. So let's copy, and I'm getting into app on start, uh, and you can see that we had previously our navbar set here, just action items, and now let's paste the new snippet
Hmm.
and run again the on start, right? So I can see that it has changed already, and now we have this cool submenu in our navbar.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So that is currently reflected on, I guess, every
Mm-hmm.
menu on every page, right? Because that's a central collection, I'd expect.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And this happens because the navbar uses a data source. So as long as we set the same data source for all of the navbars that we have here, is going to be updated for all of them, right? So if we go for other screen, we're going to see the same uh, navigation structure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And now let's make the navbar work. Navbar has one property called onChange. And this onChange property is going to be triggered every time we interact with the navbar. And I think it's interesting to show how this happens. So I'm going to add a label here. And for this label, I'm going to get the property of the navbar called current key. So this is what's happening. We're getting output from here. So as I click the items, you can see in our label here, we are getting different uh, information, right?
Yeah. And that corresponds to what you defined in the initial collection. If we can go back to that, there
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a
Mm-hmm.
key for each menu item, right? And that's what's
Right.
being
Mm-hmm.
displayed there when you click on the menu. That's what's being output.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I have one property for the title, which is what we actually see on the navbar, and we have
Mm.
like this internal name that we call key,
Yeah.
and this is an output of the the component that we can leverage to make the actions happen. So
Right.
uh, the onChange property of the navbar, I'm going to use a switch statement to assess what is the output. Uh, so let's get this property we just saw, that is current key, and I'm using the self formula to get the property of the navbar. And now I'm going to tell what's going to happen for each of the cases. So for instance, I have a key called dashboard. So when the current key is dashboard, I want something to happen. I want to navigate to dashboard screen, which actually the screen that we are. So that was a bad example, but let's go deep here.
Hmm.
Right, let's try another one. Uh, if we have the key new task, then I will navigate to new task screen,
Right.
right?
Okay.
And
So
let's get one more. If we had the Kanban green key, we would go for the Kanban
let me
screen.
guess. Kanban screen.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Awesome. Right. So you just need to complete the process for each screen and each
Mm-hmm.
key value that you've got to make sure there is somewhere to go to. But what was interesting is
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't just have to be a navigate, right? And there may be situations where the navigation click needs to do something else, whether it's display a message or do some check that presumably
Yeah.
because it's all power effects, we have complete control.
Yeah. So good point, Rehan. So for instance, if we had some item called help, and we want to direct the user to, I don't know, documentation or whatever, an external website, we
Mhm.
could uh, we could do that. We don't just need to use navigation action.
You've
I missed the icon.
you've gone off script now. Let's see where this ends up. Always dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, let's just change the icon for
Yeah,
info. Right.
yeah.
So let's suppose we have this item here called help, and I don't want to navigate the user for any of the screen. Actually, what I want to do is to make the user go for another website. So I'm using the key here, and I could use it, for instance, launch to launch a
Should we
website,
go to should we go to
docs,
docs.log? Yeah, that's the one I had in mind.
lowcodera.com, right?
Yeah.
And let's close here. Yeah, so it's a good point. We don't need to use just for navigation. We can use for another purpose as well. I think I misspelled the key. Help.
Yeah.
Help. Yeah,
And there you are. Awesome.
yeah. All right.
Okay, so
Uh,
I'm hoping
go
you've got a
go.
code
Yeah.
snippet for all the items somewhere which we can copy and paste.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, of course. And if we go down a little bit here, we can find this snippet, and let's just paste it here, right? And I
get
got
the
this
right
from
screen also.
another app. That's why I'm getting a few errors here. So the
Yeah.
list view screen is called another way. Uh, I call task editing.
Mm,
Task editing, and the dashboard screen actually is the main screen.
yeah. And you just got to make sure the keys line up as well.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sure the key values line up with what you've got, just in case they're different as well. So hopefully they're the
Yeah,
same.
everything here. The form should be called farm tasks. Now we're good, right? And of course, the way we did here, I would have to repeat the same power effects for all of the
Yeah.
screens, but we could have a single component. We can show this in maybe a future session, but doing this way, we wouldn't have to change the code for all of the screens.
Yes. So that's if you use the component
Mm-hmm.
technique, which is slightly more advanced. And as you said, we probably want to leave that for another day for the
Mm-hmm.
purposes of today's exercise and increasing the understanding of how to get it to work. I think let's just maybe copy and paste the power effects for the
Mm-hmm.
change event onto each instance of the navbar. and then
Yeah.
we'll just do 1 or 2 quick tests to make sure the navigation between the screens is working, and then we're good to go.
Right. It wasn't that hard.
Nope, few seconds
Right.
work,
Yeah.
and
Right.
the
Shall we
moment of
try?
truth. Let's try.
Let's go for. Yeah.
Yeah,
Come on screen. List
yeah.
view.
Nice.
Drop down. New task. Help is not working anymore
No,
because we didn't have in the snippet. But yeah, it looks to be working.
right. Should we remove help then and
Let's remove help.
put the final seal on it?
Start again, and now we're good.
Awesome. Right, we
Right?
did it.
Yeah.
So
I
we,
wasn't seeing the comments. I'm not sure if we have any
yeah,
questions.
we've got a couple coming in. I think Rudimer has commented
All
he
right.
likes the app. So thank
Yeah.
you, Rudimer, for your comment. We've been building this app together now for a few weeks. This is the moment we've been waiting for to get to the finish line, and that
Yeah.
navigation has completed it. We've now got how many screens? I've lost count. Is it 5 or 6
Uh,
or 7?
let me check. We have 6 screens. Yeah.
6 screens. Awesome. A dashboard, Kanban view, roadmap, power grid. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very flexible, very powerful task management app, which would come into use in a lot of situations. So
Mm-hmm.
fantastic work. So if there's any questions from anyone, feel free to ask now or drop us a comment after we've gone off air today.
Mm-hmm.
This was our task management app, our first lowcodera live series where we built a true app, a substantial app, showcase all of the lowcodera capability, augmented capability, which it brings to Power Apps. And hopefully you can see we get a nice user experience at the end of it, lots of new functionality, enriched data visualizations, dynamic interactivity with the data, being able to bulk edit data. So beyond it just looking nicer, it actually behaves um, a lot more powerfully and gives a lot more flexibility to end users to interact and engage with the data. So
Mm-hmm.
well done, Leo. Yeah, and it's only taken, if we count it all up, I think we've built this app in less than 5 hours. So amazing
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me just say thank you for the guys watching us from Brazil, Leonardo, Zanhe, João
Yeah,
Correia. Thank you guys
yeah.
for watching us, and Rudimar. Rudimar, hopefully will be a guest one day in our series, right?
Yes, which leads us on to our closing section for the series. So we've just because we've built our first app, this is very much us getting started with our plans for this new
Mhm.
low code era live uh, forum. Let's just say we've got a lot more exciting content to come. Hopefully, starting from next week, we've got guest speakers lined up to come on the show, and a lot more exciting content to follow. We've got some real nice use cases to share with everyone, and a few nice surprises along the way as well, which we can't say too much about. But
Mhm.
join us again next week, 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. UK time if you're in the UK. Otherwise, it's
Mhm.
2 p.m. UTC time, and hopefully you can translate that into wherever you're watching from. And if you can't join us live, then definitely join us on demand after We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and feel free to reach out to us in between or after.
All right, that's it. Yes, I'm very excited about the next episode, Rehan.
Yes, I think we've
Looking
got
forward
some
to it.
real crowd pleasing content. So awesome stuff. Right, Leo, let's call it a day for today, and looking forward to seeing you again next week.
Okay, thank you. See you.
All right. See you
Bye.
later.